My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Best Quality Vacuum, the Duckfeed show that talks about the Vince Gilliverse. That is Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul, Not Slippin' Jimmy.
Never Slippin' Jimmy. Never's a strong word. It might be fun to dunk on at some point.
It'd be like a good live show or something.
Oh, I'm sure people worked very hard on it. But this week we're talking about I.F.T. here on BQV, an episode that was directed by Michelle MacLaren and written by George Mastras, originally aired on April the 4th of 2010.
Yeah, I fungible tokened. This episode, Walt has forced his way back into the house, putting pressure on Skylar to reclaim some kind of power over the situation. They are in a deadlock.
Yes.
Yeah, they're playing chicken with each other.
Yeah.
Here.
Jesse is kind of sidelined in this episode, no less effective. The thing that he is doing by calling Jane's voicemail over and over again is very affecting, but he doesn't have a lot to do here.
He kind of doesn't. They talk about this on the podcast, how when they're writing, they're just like, what's Jesse doing during all this? And they have to ask themselves that question since they split them up. A weird thing with this episode, I like this episode a lot.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of the incidents from it. I remembered being in other episodes. And I probably could have done with one less Jesse in a dark room calling a voicemail kind of thing.
They had to have one per act or something.
Yeah. It feels a little wheel spinny to me. It's fine. It's necessary, but it's putting chairs in place.
Yes.
Or what have you. There's a lot more interest in the other two plots that are going on basically here. Gus meeting with the cartel, to discuss their near attempted murder of, Walt, by the cousins, and also some Hank PTSD development stuff. There's good character development stuff. So it is a putting chairs in order, but it is well paced.
Yes. This goes very fast. I was actually surprised when the credits came on this. And it kind of maintains at this kind of very active simmer / low boil the entire time.
Yes.
And it feels very tonally different, compared to anything that we saw in season 2, really. And for me, this is underscored. This is one of the more realistically bastardy things that Walt does.
It's very realistically bastardy, and it to me it supplied a really interesting kind of key bit of understanding why the fandom, not us, but the fandom not liking Anna Gunn and rooting for Walt from a pure chess get their ass perspective. It is badass.
He makes it is a very canny move on his part.
It's super canny.
Yeah.
So there's that half of it. The speech he gives at the end, I believe he is sincere with, and is arguable.
Yeah.
The thing at the end, this is already done. I've done, this is getting our head of ourselves, but this is done. I've done horrible things. You have to take it.
Yeah.
To me, that's not crazy. I don't necessarily if you couldn't spend money that was gained through ill-gotten means, what would the economy be? I'm not saying that as a joke. That sounds like a bit, but
right.
No, that's,
where it gets tricky is when the money has to come with him too. Yeah,
well, that's the part that's not good. But he at this point when he's talking about it, he's talking about with the knowledge he's going to die.
Yes,
he's not thinking you have to have me there. I firmly believe that what Walt is asking for is 6 months of pretend family before he dies.
Yes,
right. I don't think that's that monstrous or crazy. The way he power plays it still is showing an an absolutely abusive dynamic.
Yes.
The way that it is done without consent is awful.
Oh yeah.
But I think that in terms of understanding why a fandom might at this point be on his side, it is a key to understanding that, even if I disagree with it. Right. You can do something that has noble ends, but with the wrong means. And that's what fiction is. Of course you can. That's protagonist for you. And that's what's happening here. Yeah. It's a tribute to the show and kind of the complexity of the situation that I can see that point.
Yes.
His speech at the end when he actually is like, we can talk, or can we talk, I think is actually really good.
Yeah.
And played really well.
Speaking of, master strokes, what Skylar does.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can have this, but you're not going to get the version of it you want.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
It is very good. Great episode for Skylar.
Yeah.
We're introduced to Juan Bolsa here, which is very funny because this guy ends up being kind of like an ineffectual joke in the show. He's like the worst of the lieutenants in this thing.
He's like wheat paste.
Yes.
He is so nothing and just trying to keep this together and not able to.
It's the way they describe him on the podcast. They have to give everyone infinite shout outs because that's how it works. And they're like, we didn't want somebody who seemed sinister, but I think they overcorrected into somebody who seems like weak and ineffectual.
Yes.
And I think they realize it and they play into it in Better Call Saul, which is really interesting. Like the fact that they like that, but learning from the podcast, that was not the intent.
Yeah.
I think they played into the actor's performance with this. Found out that his name is a little bit of a Mad Men tribute because Juan Bolsa would be John Sack.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the characters from that. Bolsa is sack or bag.
Yeah.
Or pocket. That's Pocket's name in Portuguese as well.
Yay.
Bolsa. Bolsa Pequeño.
Portrayed by Javier Grajeda. And ends up being pretty major. Like he sticks around in the show for a long time and then is present for the cartel stuff.
He is the handful of sand that is stopping the cartel and Gus from going to open war.
Yes, he is kind of representing and also like an indication that there is something other than the Salamanca, like somebody who is unfamiliar with the way that organized crime works and can be separated into families with competing turf and interest. Things like that. Understanding that like, it wasn't just, Tio and, Tuco who are the entirety of this operation. There's, much more. So much so that they have this, basically like white collar middle manager who is going around being a kind of an operator for them.
Yes. Yeah. A liaison.
Yeah.
Basically. The podcast version of this is fairly interesting. It's okay. It's a little goofy and there's too much complimenting going on, but there are fun production details. Which we'll get into. Dean Norris is on it, so it's just full of jokes.
Okay,
which is pretty fun. Good podcast. This time does spend too much time just talking sugar about everybody.
Of course.
The one sugar that I think is appropriate to talk about is their casting director, Sherry Rhodes, who is a legendary casting director. Discovered Reese Witherspoon. Was a casting director for Spielberg and stuff. She stars in this episode. She's got a part in this, but she was killed shortly after, or died.
Pancaked by drunk dump truck driver.
Baby Dinky Daffy Rhodes got pancaked by drunk dump truck driver after this episode was shot and everything, but before it aired.
Yeah, she passed away from breast cancer.
Yes.
It's a little macabre that her scene is her being killed by the cousins for her van.
Yes. Again, my nitpick of the cousins not making any fucking sense.
Right.
We just want to leave as big a trail as possible for something we can just go rent. You have nothing but money. They sell these and rent them. It's I think it's a sloppy bit of writing.
Yeah. They make sure they commit all their crimes in a big arrow pointing to a smiley face.
Yes. It's just going to point to their enemies. It's a deduction.
Yeah. And also this is the last episode with an RV cook, as brief as it is. We're moving on to bigger, brighter turf.
Yes. Let us get into it here.
Yeah.
A very pleasant cold open, like not pleasant, but very like welcome cold open. Where we have Tortuga, played by the great Danny Trejo. We thought he was gone because he's dead. This is a flashback. Yeah. He's at a bar kind of giving a speech, hey, you shouldn't drink so much, you're a little old. It's very hot. He's like, there are two kinds of people, those who pour and those who drink. Kind of holding court with everybody like he's cock of the walk. We know this because he is about to get out.
Yeah.
To his mind, this is his last day of work. He's got senioritis.
He's gonna let this coast. It's the beginning of May. We're fine. But then this guy shows up. This guy who we've never seen before, right?
Yes.
Who kind of seems a little bit out of his element, wearing a nice tan suit, and starts talking to him, and we get all this mafioso innuendo, right? It's like, oh, that's what I love about you. The words, they just flow out of your mouth like a waterfall.
The way you talk. And I love this dread. Because Tortuga knows this isn't good.
Yeah.
This is the last thing you want, like, why did you come to this donkey's asshole of a town? He was hiding. And he's just like, I came because I forgot your birthday. He's like, oh, boss, you didn't have to do that. He's like, come on, it's in back. He's like, in back, huh? It is huge, Goodfellas, huge shit like that. And it's a tortoise.
It's the tortoise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, fun production detail from the podcast. Well, it's the same tortoise.
Uh-huh.
They also the way they let it around was holding a piece of lettuce in front of it. Because tortoises love lettuce, and they tried to do like a tortoise head cam, and with no specific details, it didn't work. So become ungovernable.
I love it.
I love it.
God, I love turtles.
Yeah. Always nice to see a turtle. And he's like, I'm gonna sign it here for the big talker. You know,
and he paints Ola DEA on it in white paint. And as Tortuga looks on in horror, out come the cousins to hack him apart with a machete.
Yep, specifically cut his head off.
Yes,
here, and they show his face, and then we hear the impacts. They mean business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I didn't think they did before.
No. You get a certain number. It's like the low chaos ending of Dishonored. You get a certain number of atrocities before anyone even notices. So we cut over to Walt at his house again. He's got a ladder and he's cleaning up his pizza tantrum. Off the garage roof.
Looks so nasty. All the cheese and pepperoni is sloughed off.
Yeah, it's really nasty. And the important part here is Mike calls to give a status report to Victor. Like, he has no idea how close he came. I assume Saul Goodman doesn't need to know. This is our first hint, basically, that this guy does not. I mean, we knew he didn't work for Saul specifically, but how small a wheel Saul is.
Yes.
Because Mike was the fixer that Saul called in. Saul is not as big a wheel as he thinks he is.
No.
And now we're learning, no. Saul is also a bit player.
This goes over and above his head. And that's like the cool thing that this episode does for the mythos, because that happens with Walt and the Salamancas as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So Skylar pulls up nightmare scenario just for this infant who's not going to remember this. Why are you listening to Old MacDonald Had a Farm for this infant?
Infants don't care. You can listen to good music. But she's listening to it for baby. Holly is very cute in this. She is in that baby stage where like absolutely no thoughts, like just the blank fucking stare of like, whoa, existence is a trip. It is a fun phase of baby to look at and not own. She sees the Aztec and she's like, son of a bitch. She goes and she gets in the driveway and calls him. And she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And Walt just says, I'm back. No, you are not. Like, we agreed that you wouldn't do this. He's like, I didn't agree. She's like, I'll call them. And he's like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And she comes in and basically says, listen, she's like, it's my house too, Skylar. Like, I didn't agree to a divorce. I didn't agree to any of this. She threatens her, what she thinks is her trump card. Like, I will call the police and tell him everything. And he says, there's the phone, while he's working on taxes or something.
He's grading papers is what he's doing.
Gotcha.
There tests or whatever.
Well, it's weird because later he wasn't back to work is what the Walt Jr. implies. Walt's like, are you coming back to work tomorrow? And he's like, that's the plan. So I don't know.
It looked like he was grading tests. I don't know, but just going about his business. And he's doing this with all the information that he got in the last episode, right?
Yes.
From what Saul said, specifically, just like, hey,
there's
bluffing. There's this blowback, right? Yeah. Like, and she understands this as well as you do.
Yep. Bluffing. Yeah. So she starts the call, Holly cries, and he goes to pick up, the baby, and the police pick up. And he says, a domestic disturbance, somebody's in my house. I need police to come and remove him. And Walt just goes back to grading papers because this is the part where I can understand from appreciating a badass thing. It is an outmaneuver, even if Skylar doesn't deserve it. Right. Like, right. There's an action that is being done that can be appreciated outside of its context. If you squint and tilt your head the exact right way, right?
If you don't look at what a betrayal this is.
Yes. This fucking sucks. I want to clarify that. I'm trying to get myself in the headspace of understanding people who think differently than I do about this is all I'm doing. So I'm not trying to devil's advocate just for the sake of that. The devil doesn't need an advocate. It's just me trying to get discourse.
Yes. Yeah. And people like seeing their protagonist win, and this is a winning move on Walt's part.
Well, there's so many times where it works, right? Like, him getting one over on Gus is a fist pump moment because Gus fucking sucks.
Yep.
Like, we love Gus, but he's got to go. They hear the doorbell, and like even I was like, there's no, the police don't arrive that soon.
Nope.
Even in a white person neighborhood. But it's Junior, and this is that insidiousness because like the timing of this is very intentional.
Oh yeah,
Walt knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, are you back for good?
Yeah,
and Skylar just powerless to watch this.
It's the angriest anyone's ever been.
Oh yeah,
just the face work that Anagon is doing is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, you hungry? I'll make you grilled cheese. And they're eating grilled cheeses and making small talk. And again, the degree to which you can sympathize with Walt, he gets to see his son. It's still his family, right? And it's still his dad. It's still Walt Jr.'s dad. Mm-hmm. He loves him. Like it's good to be able to see your family.
Yeah, to the extent that Walt Jr.'s presence makes this worse, he is blameless. He is being used by his dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's a prop, but it's also a thing where simultaneously, I think it's over. Like Walt, he's more than that. Like Walt also wants to see his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cops show up, and Flynn's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, you called the cops on Dad, and we cut a little bit to the cops interviewing them respectively.
Yeah,
one cop is interviewing Skylar. I don't think it's the same. This guy looks so much like one of the cops from Mike's flashback.
It's not. So the cop that is interviewing Skylar is the same cop who interviews Mark Proksch about the quote missing baseball cards.
Gotcha.
Yes.
It also, he has the same facio-type and haircut as one of the cops from Mike's flashback in Better Call Saul.
Yes.
And that would make no sense. Like I also transferred to Albuquerque, but like maybe cops just all look the same.
Yeah. But like Skylar is saying like, no, he's not hitting me. I'm not going to give you any more information, but this is trespassing. He's not supposed to be here. And, the dawning horror, the realization that like without a court order, his name's on the property, they can't kick him out of his own house.
He's like, oh, are you divorced? Well, we're in the process of, we're separated. Yeah. Are you legally separated? No.
Yeah.
While Skylar's talking to the cops, Walt is comforting Holly.
He puts on a super dad costume.
Yes. And just like, is like, listen, I haven't been the most attentive husband lately. Trying to play, there have been disagreements.
Yes.
He says, he's acting. Mm-hmm. And the cop says Skylar, he's like, you have to give me something to work with. Yeah. Like, has your husband broken any laws? Are you even suspicious of that? Something I can do, to get him out. And you can see in Skylar's face, like her spinning the wheels.
Yeah.
Can I actually do this?
Mm-hmm.
And Junior chimes in and saying, no, he hasn't done anything. Like it's mom won't even say anything. This is all mom's fault. And Walt, again, Walt scumbag, don't blame your mother, son. Like just absolute scum shit,
Man, to have your son say that in front of the cops, just to be humiliated like that.
Yeah. Yes. It is the angriest I've ever seen anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is a weird thing. When Skylar makes that face, she looks a little bit like my mom.
Okay.
It reminds me, like my mom, like didn't get that mad at me. I wasn't a bad kid, but like my mom would get very mad. Like was an angry lady all the time, and looked just like this. Had a similar facial structure, so it was real, just like, oh shit, gave me like that kind of feeling. Yeah. So the cops leave, and Walt hands Holly back over to Skylar. Skylar basically takes her, and Skylar just goes, "Welcome home," and shuts herself in the bedroom.
Yeah.
She can't totally salt the earth yet. No. But she wants to.
Yeah. And, this is not going to be the version of it that you are, hoping for, expecting. Right.
Yes. Jesse's in his house. It's empty. He's sitting there on the phone listening to, we don't hear the voicemail yet, but that's what he's doing. Saul rings. I really like this. He's like, hey, I got you a housewarming gift, and gives him a cactus.
It's a tiny little cactus. It's like a gas station cactus.
Which Jesse then puts next to the door on the floor, like a sim. It's so good. And he's like, this is a nice decor, subtle. I never went for the minimalist thing myself. It's very funny.
Nice decor, subtle to this empty house is very good.
It's very funny. This is a good Saul episode. Yeah. And he's like, listen, I came here to reopen that issue, whether you talk to the maestro or not. Get him to cook again. Listen, Jesse's like, I'll handle it. He's like, what? You handle it like you'll handle it? Like you'll tell him what, if you don't have to cook, you're in recovery, but if you do this, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I want this money train back on.
Right. And Jesse says, yeah, I will. He's just trying to get Saul away.
Yeah.
And just
go back and listen to the voicemail.
Yeah. So, sits down, and it's Jane's voicemail. We heard this before, if you're selling me something, 3 words, do not call list or whatever. And he's just listening to this over and over again.
Yeah.
Just wants to hear her voice.
So Hank and Gomi are on a stakeout. Hank gets a call from the ASAC. El Paso, he put in some words, and El Paso wants him back.
Right.
And he seems like he wants to go, but we cut to him staring and doing the Hank face.
His teeth.
Yeah.
The weird angle that you get on his teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. He does not want to go back.
Yeah.
Then a woman in a mobility scooter leaves a store and goes up into her liftgate in her van when the cousins show up, and for no real reason, presumably kill her and steal her van.
Seems risky.
I was joking earlier about them not showing that the cartel meant business enough. They've overplayed their hand quite a bit. Like, I know the cartel is scary in the show and in real life. I didn't ever notice that on a playthrough or watch through of this show before, how sloppy the cousins are in just leaving a murder trail everywhere, and how professional everyone else is around them.
I mean, like, you only get that with like specifically about the Salamancas in general. Like, you get the sense the Salamancas have fallen out of favor, because of, Hector and Tuco. Hector is crass, and Tuco is completely
Tuco's
unpredictable.
But they're not the cousins bad. And then you get Lalo, who is, yes, he sets fire to that place, but he doesn't leave witnesses. He's not trying to, he did that for a reason. He did that to cover up a murder that was motivated, right? It wasn't, this is just unmotivated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it. You rent these things, they rent them.
You try explaining what you want without speaking.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, bring the Ouija board.
Yep.
To the rental car place. The cousins, I like the cousins. They are kind of cartoons in a non-cartoon show.
Yeah. But they've taken this so that they can get Hector to this chicken farm, where Gus raises the chickens. They have this trailer where they're going to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Or Gus is unsealing some crudite.
This whole thing is such a insult. I love it so much. Like, it's the shittiest crudite. It's a Safeway vegetable tray with ranch dip.
Yeah.
And then
the carrots are all white.
Yeah. And it looks them out, and here's Hector's bell. He looks out and he invites them in and just says, forgive me, it's not wheelchair accessible. It's love it. We don't know that about Gus and Hector's relationship yet. But I love them planting the aggressions like this early.
Yes. Yeah. And Gus explains, why he interceded, why he sent the Poyos text saying, hey, I'm always working with local manufacturers. This has never been a problem before. The money flows to you anyway. It is best for everybody if, Walter White, I never knew him as Heisenberg, but, if this man lives.
Yes. Bolsa says, hey, the Salamancas have beef with him, blood for blood. And Gus says, I need Walt alive now. Once I conclude my business, he will no longer be of interest to me. And then you can do whatever you want. And Hector starts slamming the bell. Yeah. Bolsa takes Gus outside and basically says, you don't want to do this. Like, this needs to be resolved quickly. You do not want to fall out of favor with the cartel. That would be unwise. I can try to hold them off, but those boys are not like us. They're not businessmen. They're weird cartoon monsters. It's two Terminators who came out of a cloning machine who kill indiscriminately for no reason.
Yeah, for vans.
So, yeah. They kill for vans. They
trucks.
They kill to get rid of trucks. They kill so they can get into their steps for the day. Like they kill for any number of reasons.
Yeah. They kill because somebody saw their shoes. Like they're not controllable assets is the thing.
No. They're a gun pointed in every direction at once.
Yeah. But, just the horror of this situation, that if Walt knew that he needed Gus's protection, right?
Yes.
Like, he is rejecting, the offer to work with Gus, and Gus is the only person, only thing keeping from dying in, some of the most horrible ways he possibly could, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's nighttime. Jesse keeps calling the voicemail. Walt is sleeping on the floor in the nursery, and Skylar's smoking. Walt gets up to use the bathroom because Flynn must be taking one of his mighty shits. And Skylar won't let him in to use the bathroom. So he pisses in the sink. Great little bit of this. They are all talking about Bryan Cranston on the podcast and how whenever there's nudity, he makes a lot of jokes. And they didn't specify if there are a lot of things with vegetables involved. Which I can only imagine him holding like a carrot or something in the sink in front of his junk.
Yeah.
Like funny shit like that.
I can see that. Break the tension on the set.
There was also both Vince Gilligan and Dean Norris being like, well, when I had to go, it's any port in a storm. Like basically both of them go in for sink pissing. And
this is one of those conversations that starts forum arguments, like beans and chili, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a centrist in this. Basement utility sink pissing. If you gotta do it, you gotta do it. Yeah. Kitchen sink where dishes go?
Nope.
Nope. If basement, no replacement.
Yeah.
If sink, better think. It's
bathroom sink? Not
that's
really.
That's a gray area. I still wouldn't. Brush your teeth.
If you got a bathroom sink there, you also have a tub.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to be an incredible emergency.
Yes.
And the tub needs to not be draining, and the toilet needs to not be draining.
Yes.
And then bathroom sink. But with a guy, you can go outside.
Yep.
You know, and you're not going to shit in the sink.
He's got a fenced in backyard.
Peeing in the pool would be better.
Yep.
You know,
no, he loves that pool.
Well, yeah, but you chlorine it. You add an extra chlorine tab to it and eliminate all the urine.
But
there's not been piss in that pool.
I know.
They had baby Walt Jr. in there.
I know.
There's so much urine in that pool. There's so much urine in every pool.
It's 98% urine. Yeah.
Every pool is urine. At this point, why pretend?
No.
I'm just saying listing places would be better to pee than on your dishes. On your grilled cheese pan.
Okay. But yes, mildly
this is the worst
better.
Place.
Mildly better. Yes.
I think we can agree this is the worst.
This is the one place that is verboten into
other than the floor.
Well, yeah. You piss into a trash can before you piss into
the crawl space.
Yeah.
The dirt would just give it back to the earth.
Yeah, feed the spiders.
Yeah, there's a lot of better places to piss.
They need they need phosphorus for their chitin, Gary.
Think of the chitin, you idiot! You didn't think of the chitin. He pisses in the sink. Skylar goes to her divorce attorney. I completely fucking forgot about this. She almost lets it slip that she's going to talk to the cops. And then the attorney says, listen, there's confidentiality. So Skylar tells her that she's cooking meth. God, you're fucking lucky this is season 3 because you'd be so dead.
Oh, yeah.
In season 5, I forgot about this loose end. And it, presumably in this universe is still out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's just a lawyer who knows all about Heisenberg just hanging out. Can you imagine that? It's fucking nuts. I think the creators probably forgot about it, or they're just like, it didn't ever win anywhere. Yeah. But I forgot about it completely.
But I love this because she says oh no, just he cooks meth, or no, he makes meth. It's a cook. I read about it on Wikipedia, and then the attorney asks, wait, he's a drug dealer, and this is a little bit of her shading in, rounding in his favor. Says, well, no, he's a manufacturer. Yes, it is specific, but that is the halo that Walt's tried to cling to with her. Right?
Yes.
She is doing her own mini justification on this, trying to, cover for the fact that she is not going ham on him for his crimes.
Yes, parroting the language.
Yes.
That he used. Yeah, it's very canny. I love in fiction where people pick up other people's languages.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's our thing that happens in real life, and I think it's really cool when it's observed.
It's like the one joke in The Big Lebowski that is incredibly good, despite intense quotes by people all the time.
Yeah.
Just the fact that that's what Jeffrey does the entire time. This aggression will not stand, man.
It's very funny. Yeah. And the attorney says, you want my advice, you should take it, just go to the police.
Yeah.
And Skylar doesn't elaborate on why she can't. She just says she can't until eventually she says, listen, I don't want Junior to know about his dad. In the end, it might not. And the lawyer says, in the end, it might not be up to you. Drug dealers have a way of getting caught. And Skylar brings up the cancer.
Yeah.
My plan is to wait this out.
Yeah. Things might resolve themselves on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scene I love of this. Hank and Gomi are in this dive bar. Gomi's like, this place is awful. Why don't we go to Chili's?
Why don't we go to Outback? And then he says they've got that bloomin' onion.
It's not too late.
It's a new thing. Have you heard about this onion? You would not believe what the Outback is doing with onions, my man.
Once the onion reaches its third bloom, we're all fucked. And I love, again, Dean Norris is a great actor. Dean Norris is again, that tooth thing. He's fucking pissed, and he's looking for a fight. He spots a drug handoff, goes to the washroom, splashes water on his face. He's wrestling with whether he's going to do this.
Yeah.
Looks in the mirror and comes back to Gomi and says, listen, those guys are Holden. And Gomi says, in this place, the bartender's Holden.
Yeah.
What the fuck, you know, are you talking about? And he's like, what, you don't want to do it? And Gomi's like, oh yeah, I'll call it in. And Hank's like, well, we can't take care of these two punks. He's like, well, yeah, courtoucy call.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's, you know,
it's a vice thing. Like, it's all very reasonable what Gomi is bringing up.
Yeah. Gomi's great, you know? So Hank goes out to the car. And he's like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here. But he can't contain himself.
Yeah.
He leaves his gun in the car. Very important. I love this. I love that detail. Yeah. Like, he doesn't want to have it, and he doesn't want anyone else to have it.
He's looking for a fight, and he's looking to get hurt.
Yep. And to hurt people.
Yes.
You know, he wants to fight crime.
Yeah.
In a literal sense.
And he goes back in and they start busting heads to ZZ Top's Tush, a very frustrating song because the amount of latitude that they try to achieve by rhyming tush with things that do not rhyme with tush is fucking infuriating.
Oh, I've never paid too much attention to ZZ Top's Tush.
Yeah, it's they try and play it off like it's tush sometimes, and it's not good.
I don't even think I knew what they were saying. I just knew he was looking for something.
Yeah, looking for some tush. Yeah.
Also, come on, man. That's a gross phrase, Top. The fun production details in this. One of the guys that he fights is an UFC guy here. And Dean Norris actually knows martial arts, like was a black belt in high school and then did boxing in college.
I can believe that. Looks like a boxer. Yeah.
This mirror that they have break, there were fun things with that. The stunt coordinator fucked it up. It's supposed to be like sugar glass, but it would not break. So they kept trying it. It wouldn't break until eventually Dean Norris put the guy through the wall and put a big dent in the wall. But the glass would not break, so they had to cheat it. There, and they were all just having fun. Like, it's, you know, this guy can handle a hit here. But he basically beats the shit out of them. These dudes.
I mean, the one guy, he slams into the bar. He basically does like a curb stomp kind of thing on him, like his teeth go flying.
And then he kicks puts the guy's head in the ground, just keeps slamming his head into the ground, fucking almost kills him, you know? This is the first Hank sublimating this anger stuff. Like, Hank and police brutality are, you know, it's vitamins to him.
Yes.
And the bartender comes over and he just says, I'm DEA, don't fucking move. Go out in the car and get my partner.
Yeah.
You know, this is him throwing the fight. He wants to be taken off of El Paso.
Right. And anything to not be, you know, not be sent. He is a loose cannon, right? Get me some disciplinary action. This is just enough.
Men would rather do this than go to therapy. Especially since in this universe, therapy doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on Jesse. It doesn't work on Murray.
Nope. Fucking Dave.
Yeah, Dave. So it's nighttime. Jesse's calling the voicemail until at the precise stroke of midnight. The number gets disconnected mid-message.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it works.
Nope.
And the next day he says, fuck it. You know?
And he drives the RV back out and does a cook on his own.
Yeah. Competing enterprises. The morning, Skylar waits for the sound of Walt leaving. She eventually leaves the bedroom and sees the bag of cash on the floor. And Walt's saying there and says, Skylar, can we talk?
Yes. So cut over to the bathroom at the DEA. You know, Gomi comes in and talks to Hank saying like, hey, so here's this version of the story. Right.
Yep.
You know, just like, here's the whitewash on it or whatever. But what I didn't say is, you know, that you left your gun, that you left your service weapon in the car.
And Gomi's pissed. This is a profoundly stupid and dangerous thing that Hank did.
Yes.
Right? Like, one of those guys had a gun. You know, this could have ended very differently.
Yeah. That puts Gomi in danger too. Like, it's not just Hank being self-destructive. Nothing is ever purely self-destructive. It always blows on somebody else. Yeah.
One of the themes of the show, right?
Yeah.
And Walt lays it out, and I really like this monologue. I think that this is. I think he's being genuine. This is not a manipulation play.
Yeah, this is what he believes.
Yes, you know, and whether that's true or agreed or if it's ameliorated, you know, you can have an opinion on that. I don't think so. You know, obviously, ends don't justify the means, but he's got a point in that, like, it's done.
Yes,
you know, I really love the performance here too.
Yeah, but Walt's in the in the dining room, you know, pointing at this sack of money and saying like, yeah, no, this is college, you know, for both of our kids. Yeah. This is the roof over your head for the mortgage you're not going to be able to pay for. This is food. This is, you know, vacations. Like, you know, it's everything. It's everything that you need. Yeah.
I'm going to die, and this is what's going to take care of it. And this money, I didn't steal it. Like I earned it. You know, it doesn't belong to anyone else. Like, the things I had to do, I have to live with them. You know, there is a, if you squint again, there's a plausible nobility to this. It's undercut by how he acts like nothing happened at the end. He's like, we're just going to be in dad salad mode.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But there is something here. Right. Like it is playing both sides of it, I think, pretty candidly.
It also shows his obliviousness to this. He is saying as a point of pride, right? Like, this is my money. I earned it. And that's been important for him the entire time, right? That's why he rejected the money from Gretchen, from Gretchen and Elliot, right? Like, it's important that whatever he did, that it was something that he deserved, right?
Yes.
What he is not realizing is that's specifically why she doesn't want him around.
Yes.
Like, you did things to earn this. You did horrible things. She doesn't even she thought it was weed, and she was ready to kick him out, ready to divorce him, right? And his case for himself is just underlining exactly why Skylar is deciding to leave anyway. This is a fundamental disconnect.
Yeah. Well, in the end argument, for this not be for nothing, you have to take it.
Yes.
Like, the end argument I find a little bit more compelling is it's done. Everything that's happened has already happened. There's no undoing it.
Right. There's no sense letting this go to waste. There's no sense throwing all of this away.
Yeah. He says, I'll wait for your answer after work. So Skylar gets gussied up, goes and makes copies in the office break room. Ted walks in. Ted's not expecting any of this.
Nope.
She walks up behind him, grabs his shoulder, and they kiss.
Yeah. This is the horniest anybody has ever looked. When she is looking up at him and her lip is kind of sticking out.
Yes. Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just somebody else walks in, they make small talk, and she's like, "Are your kids home?" He goes, no. In my memory, they showed it.
Oh, yeah.
Which they do later. But again, just like the little bits of plot that got mixed up.
Yeah.
I forgot this is how this played out.
Mm-hmm.
And they get home, she gets home, it's nighttime. Skylar gets home, is surprised to find Junior and Lewis. Lewis is there watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah.
Season 6, a little bit past the prime.
A little bit, yeah. If you're in the first 3 seasons, you're good, probably.
Yeah. You're probably past the good part, Walt Junior. It's okay, you're young.
Yeah.
Walt's cooking a pot roast.
Yeah, got pot roast, slicing up tomatoes for the salad. Everything is great, right? And he's talking about like, I thought I'd invite Lewis over just to thank him for just driving Junior around as much as he has, just being good salad dad, right?
Yep.
And take Skylar over into the kitchen, while the kids are in the other room.
The performance on Anna Gunn in this is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
She's got this thing. She's trying to decide how she's going to use it. And she's watching him play house.
Yep.
And he says, this is the part that, like, again, the plausibility, like, Walt embodies this contradiction, right? Like, I think that he genuinely feels both these things. He's not just putting on a series of masks. To him, that first part where he's like, listen, you have to take this. I did horrible things for it. That is a reasonable thing. You can buy that. This whole, I think our talk went good. Don't you? Honesty is good. I'm eager, no rush, of course. Like him going back into like, it's solved because it feels solved for him is his fucking flaw.
Yes.
And I love the fact that it blows up in his face. I love that she's like, you are at your most defenseless and you think you've won. Here,
and God, I love that she does this right when Flynn's in the other room, or when Junior's in the other room, basically just turning his move back in on him. Like, okay, well, you're gonna fuck me over, with our son in the room, so I can't react. And so here's what I'm going to do. She hovers, like right up to him, takes the salad bowl, looks him square in the eye, and says, simply, "I fucked Ted."
Yep. It's incredible. And then goes back to dinner. It's like, hey boys, make sure you eat your salad. It's good for you. While Walt is just staring, furious at it. This is going to lead to, there's a YouTube person who goes and recuts Breaking Bad things as if they're sitcoms. Does the sitcom beats and music and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
My favorite one of them is him showing up at Beneke Fabrications and everything, and that plays real well as a comedy. You put a laugh track behind that, and it seems very funny.
With the potted plant,
the potted plant bouncing off the glass, and Ted ducking. Hey Walt, I'm kind of busy. Like it has big comedy energy.
Yeah.
But just like watching these two people who have varying amounts of power over each other, but not just amounts, varying kinds of power.
In different domains, right?
Yeah, different domains, and strategically use them against each other is so thrilling and cool. And just, God, it's deft writing. It's crazy to me that's the same, it's a writer's room, right? So people have different ideas. We don't know. They talk about this a lot in the podcast. The person who came up with any individual idea is not necessarily the writer of the episode. It's just so weird that it's in the same episode as the chair thing, the van thing, which I think is kind of bad writing.
Yeah.
Whereas this, part of it's the scenario being crafted.
Yeah.
Watching these two different domains fight off each other, both of them having their strengths and weaponizing them against each other in a way that, like, we don't see very much loving Walt and Skylar in the show.
Yeah.
It opens with them at a malaise in their marriage where she's giving him a tired hand job on his birthday while watching eBay, right?
Yeah.
We never get to see this during its boom years. But this kind of the way these characters act toward each other in this part do show a kind of intimacy and depth of knowledge that only comes with like a long-term relationship and a spouse. Like, they know each other down to, they know how to hurt each other.
Yeah.
They each know the worst possible thing they could do to each other.
Yeah.
All of that intimacy and all that openness, that is what they built a relationship on, is now a vulnerability, has been recontextualized. And it is just, it's great to watch.
Yeah. I just, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like
chills.
And
it's super good.
Yeah. And this is something that, and this is something people get angry about, with Skylar about, like, it kind of seems in league with her, in line with people getting super pissed at her for smoking while pregnant with Holly. Right.
Yes.
It's just looking for any way, but like, she is very specifically denying him the thing that he said he wants. Right.
Yeah.
But still working within the framework of the terms. Right. Like, we have this limited amount of time. You want a marriage. Well, you're going to get a version of this. You're going to get the show of it. But like, you have to understand that, like, Skylar isn't the one who broke this.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you do not deserve the win for this. You did not.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a real good show. I love season 3 of the show. Killer.
Yeah. And contrasting, Skylar in the first 2 seasons being, knowingly hapless, right? Very motivated ignorance about what's going on, as we find out, to being a really good schemer.
Yeah, motivated ignorance and some just regular ignorance too.
Yeah.
There's some motivated ignorance, and there's also, like, did you make all this money from pot?
Yeah.
There's some kind of dipshittery, and she was also, again, you mentioned this detail. Some people, we got a little flack when we were talking about Skylar being a square a little bit. In this, like, she would have done all of the, if he was a pot dealer, she would have had the same reaction to this. That kind of sucks. I don't know. That's kind of lame.
Yeah.
I don't like parents doing drugs particularly, but like, and it was the lying, I get all of that stuff.
Yeah,
but if he had come clear and had just been like, yeah, I've been dealing pot, the fact that is also equally, that is a little bit,
that's a little,
I don't know another way to to put it. It's a little bit silly to me. But anyway, great episode. Looking forward to more. What can people do, Cole?
Well, if people want to support the show, they can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kick us a few bucks a month. That supports this show and the whole network, and you get a whole bunch of bonus content, including a few shows and bonus episodes about media, if you're not into the whole video game thing.
Yeah. We appreciate it. You can also leave us ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict. Tell your friends about it, and join us in thanking our producer, Gwen.
Thank you so much, Gwen.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
I think so. I don't know. Just until next time, man. Given the serious family drama stuff that happens here, it's hard to. Well, until next time, just rent your own van.
Yeah, or if you feel like it, FT. We've all done
FT.
It. Like, it's not actually a big brag. I wish Walt had just rolled his eyes and been like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course he did.
The Pedicky Fabricator's mattress. We've all done it.